Hello there, my stamping friends. Susan here at Pumpkin Hill Stampers. So I have a Stampin' Show and Tell to share with you today, and this one I'm kind of creating off the cuff. I was inspired to create with the Freshly Made Sketches challenge this week. I think it's a pretty simple sketch, so I'm going to break it down and do a card for you. But I'm super excited to use some new product that I just got as a pre-order. Demos get to pre-order. So this paper, this DSP, is coming from the All About Autumn DSP, which will be in the fall mini catalog, and those catalogs should be hitting your mailboxes soon. I received my customer copy. I always send myself one as a customer so that I know when you guys should be expecting them. So you should be expecting them probably this week, because I got mine today actually. So it's Saturday afternoon. I'm doing some fun crafting in my craft room, and before I start I'm going to show you this fun new pattern paper. So it comes 6 by 6. You get 4 of each print, and there are 12 prints, and they are gorgeous fall prints. So I'm going to just show them to you real quick here as a preview. So we've got some lovely prints, and then the back has like a foil pattern to the back, and then there's some great textures, more trees. I love this one, looking down on the trees, and more foil on the back. So we've got a variation between outdoor scenes and then just cool textures, and then the back has these cool prints with the foil prints in them. Some books, some more trees on a path, a bookshelf. Okay, I'm a lover of books, so I love looking at shelves of books. This one's probably one of my favorites, the pumpkins. I'm sure you guys are going to see that in coming projects, because on Pumpkin Hill Stampers I'm all about pumpkins, so I do love this one. Sweater knit. Then this is what I'm going to use today. This one uses the new ink color. I'm trying to think of what it's called. New color, the Moody Mauve ink color. I'm using that today. Here's the back. And then we've got some of that wood grain, and then that on the back as well. So there's a little peek at one of the papers, one of the beautiful papers coming in the new catalog. Okay, so here's the sketch. So here's the sketch that's inspired me to just pull out my stuff and do some simple paper crafting to share with you. So I'm going to do that. So to me, this would be a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 standard card base. Okay. Now when they give their sketches, they don't give you any measurements, so you kind of have to decide what you want to do with it, and it's just like that. You decide what you want to do with it. So since I'm 4 1/4, I think I'm probably going to make this section 4 inches. Okay. And when I cut my 6 by 6 paper at 4 inches, I'm going to end up with 4 1/4 by 4, and then that's going to leave me 1 3/4 by 4 as a scrap, so I'm going to use that as this like tag here, and I'll put my sentiment on that. So that's my thought, and then this will just be the card base showing underneath. So really simple. You just kind of have to decide what size your card is going to be, and then kind of sketch it out in your head before you start. So I'm going to use Moody Mauve as my primary color, and I'll try to use that in my accents as well. So we're just going to go ahead and cut our cardstock. Now I could make this standard or long. I think I'm going to make mine long. So I'm going to start by cutting my paper at 4 1/4. So I'm going to have 4 1/4 by 11, and then I'm going to score it at 5 1/2. Remember to score it this time and not cut it, so tuck that cutting blade away. Okay, so there's my basic card base. Okay, I'm just going to give that a crease with my bone folder. And then I'm going to use my DSP as my primary element here. So like I said, I'm going to have 4 1/4 by 4. So I'm just going to cut this at 4 to start. And then I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to cut it at 4 1/4. So this is going to cover from edge to edge on my card, just like that. And then I'm going to use this piece. I'm actually going to flip it over and use it here to put my sentiment on. Okay. Now this piece is 1 3/4. So I have a piece of vellum, and my vellum's at 2 inches. So I'm going to cut this to match. So 1 3/4. So that's going to be the same width as my piece here. So I'm just going to stamp on the vellum to cover it over. And then after I stamp it, I'll trim it to make it the right size for me, because we don't want it the full length if we want to follow the sketch idea. Okay, so for starters, I can just add this panel of DSP. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. So now you could do dry embossing on your card base if you wanted to add a little more texture or pizzazz to it. Let's see if my ink is, or my adhesive is going to come out for me. It's been a couple days. I have to get out my little piercing tool and get that little glue glob cleared. Give me a second. Okay, let's try again. There we go. Okay, clear the glob. So I'm just going to add some adhesive to the back. I know that's not the only, I'm not the only one that happens to. So, standard crafting conundrum. Okay, so I'm putting this a little closer to the top than the bottom, following the sketch idea, right? The space at the top is a little smaller than the space at the bottom. So I'm just going to put that on, okay? Then this piece is going to go over here, but I'm going to cut it shorter, and then that's going to be my sentiment. So let's do the sentiment part first. So I have another new product. This is another fall stamp set that's coming out. So Sincere, I really liked all the sentiments in it. I think I'm going to use this one. Knowing You Brings Joy to My Heart. So, brand new stamp set. I'm going to have to mount it on my label. So I'll give you guys a quick review. So you take out your stamp, and then get your labels. Find the label you're working with. Pull off the backer. Whew. Pull off the whole backer. I kind of tore it there. Nope, I just want the backer, please. There we go. Just the backer. Okay. So I turn this way, and then I take this off the back of the stamp, and then you just got to line it up. It's kind of like a puzzle piece. Okay, so as long as you have the right stamp, it's going to fit right over the top of that label. So just fit it inside, and then you peel the whole thing off. There we go. So that's how you mount your stamps. Okay, so I've got my vellum. I have my sentiment. I'm going to use Moody Mauve as my color, so all my color is pretty much staying monochromatic, except for my DSP. I'm just going to stamp that. I'm going to do a test stamp. Perfect. Okay, so stamp that, and then I'm going to put this about there. So it's not right at the top of my vellum, and like I said, I'm going to trim my vellum in a minute. So this is going to go here. This is going to go over the top. So see how I can still see that foil behind, but at the same time I can see my sentiment. Okay, so now here's a little trick, and I hadn't thought to do it, but I am going to do it. I'm going to put a little bit of a score line in my vellum, and then I'm going to fold it back to make a doubled up, and then I'm going to use a little bit of ribbon or a little bit of twine in there to create a bow. So let's go ahead and we're going to trim this off. Where did I do? Here. So this is how I craft, guys. Kind of on the fly. I go with my inspiration, I decide what I'm going to create, and then I create it. Sometimes I create it ahead of time before I share it with you, but I'm starting to just create it on the fly with you guys. So hope you just bear with me on this. Alright, actually I'm going to heat set that ink for a minute because I don't want it to smudge. These are one of the things we have to do. So I'm going to heat set it with my gun, so hold on a second. That's pretty dry. Alright, so let's see. I want to give this like I said, I want to give it a little bit of a fold in there. So like a 1/4 inch. So I've got that pushed up at a 1/4 inch. I'm going to put this down. I'm scoring it. Okay, 1/4 inch. Scoring it. And then this one I'm going to put in the same thing. Score it. 1/4 inch. Now, that actually gives me 2 really great things to do here. One, I can add adhesive right on that 1/4 inch and tack my vellum right to it. Okay, because when you put adhesive behind vellum, you usually can see it. We don't like to see it. So how do we hide our adhesive? Well, this is one way. Okay, so I've got that scored. Now if I flip this over and I fold it back on that score line, give it a crease. Now I also have this little space in there where I can put some twine. So while we're at it, let me just get my twine in here. I'm just going to cut, I'll cut like 8 inches. That's probably more than I need, but I'll cut 8 inches just so I have enough to work with easily. Okay, and it's brand new twine, so I kind of have to straighten it out a little bit. Okay, so here's what I would do with my twine. You could use liquid adhesive in there, it's just fine. You could use tear and tape, whatever you wanted to use, but I'm going to use just 2 little glue dots. So I'm going to put one there, and one here, and I'm just going to stick this down on that so it kind of stays put for me. Okay, stays put. And then I'm going to add 2 more, if I take them off, 2 more, and I'm just going to make like a twine sandwich in there. So just fold that down. Okay, so your twine is captured for that. And then once I put that on the card, I'll tie my bow. Okay, so now I need to shorten this, right? So I'm just going to stick this in, and I can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to hold that flat, and let's see, a little bit below, but not too much. Cutting this time, so if I go 3 inches, that would be 1 inch up from the bottom of my 4-inch length. So let's go 3 inches to start. We can always go shorter. You can't go longer once you cut it off. Let's see how this looks. About right? Yeah, I like that. Okay, so take all this away. So I'm going to go ahead and tie my bow best I can here. I'm actually going to use another glue dot to secure my little knot before I even get started. They're a great way to secure when you're all on your own doing a bow. And let's see if it's going to cooperate for me. See, I thought 8 inches was enough, but I forgot that it was 1 inch 3/4 width. So it's going to really tiny bow. Let's see if I can do that a little bit better. So maybe go 10 inches if you're following my measures exactly, because that'll give you a little more to work with. It won't be as difficult. Okay. I actually like the little tiny bow, so that worked out well. Alright, so just like that, and then I could put that on dimensionals, or I could just put it down flat. I think I'm going to put it on dimensionals though. So I'm just going to cross over this on the back. That's going to give me a little extra adhesion to that seam there. And then I'm just going to support that on the back. And then pop this up. And put that down like that. Okay. Stamping on the fly, that's pretty good. I like that. So there we go. So there's the sketch that was offered up. Here is my card. You know what? It just needs a little something. So I've got these adhesive back speckled dots. I believe these are also in the Fell catalog. And I don't know, we could go with the pink or we could go with the opposite color. I'm going to go with the pink. Alright, so I'm just going to add, ooh, I got a green one at the same time. We'll go with 2. I can live with that. Alright, so there is my finished card. So if you wanted to, guys, you could then add a liner. You could also use this scrap on the back of your envelope if you wanted to tie it in. So, but I'm not going to keep you any longer today. So I'll put it in my picture. I will finish it off that way. If you have any questions, please comment. Leave me a question if you need to, or contact me with my email. It's linked below. I'm always happy to help you. And if you need to place an order, or if you need a demonstrator to help you find a catalog, please reach out. I'm here to help you, and I'm happy to help you. So I'll stamp again with you real soon. Have a great afternoon. Bye.